Hey, what is up, everyone? This is John Kight Jr. I am joined with my favorite person in the whole wide world, John Kight, and this is the first episode of Cornerstone Conversations coming to you live. So I have the pleasure of interviewing the owner and founder of the Cornerstone Group and Integrity Managing Partner, John Kight. John, Dad, I don't know what to call you on this. JK, I'll probably call you JK through this, but thank you for joining us
Dad
on the
work.
first episode.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me. And Dad works, so you always call me Dad.
Well, I appreciate that. Dad, golf partner, business partner, mentor in life, all those wonderful things. So
All
I
of it.
enjoy this.
All of the
Yes.
above.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining us. JK, let's just start. So this has been I love this story because it's definitely not an overnight success. It's several years in the making. I mean, going back to what, probably 1993 when you're 25 years of age. That's when it really started. And it's just been a long picture. And I've feel like, I have the pleasure of seeing it firsthand through several years, although I don't know if I knew too much of what was going on at a young age, but it's been amazing to see God's hand work on yours and mom's life. So tell everyone a little bit about your background, who John Kite is, and kind of like what led you up to this point.
Well, my background was growing up in Eastern North Carolina, and I mean, I was interested in sports, and that was about it. But for me, life changed. From a business perspective, life changed when I went and listened to somebody talk. The person was very successful in the business world, and he started talking about the different types of income. And so for me, all it just seems like all of my hopes and dreams in the world of business um, hinged on that one meeting, because he absolutely exploded my mind with possibilities and really what the world was all about. And all I could think about was, here I was 25 years old, and all I had been taught was how to go to school, get a good education, get out and get a good job. I didn't want to do those things. I didn't want to do those things at all. I didn't want to go get a job, and so I really didn't understand that I was an entrepreneur. I didn't understand that about me. For the most part, my self image was way low. Like, I didn't have a very good image of who I was or what I could accomplish, and so much hinged on that night and being kind of at the right place at the right time, and really hearing somebody talk about something that just it captured everything about me. And so that night he talked about self-driven income and how it created broke no matter how much money you made. And for me, that was life changing, because I thought, well, success is all about making all kinds of money. But when he talked about people that were making a lot of money and self-driven incomes, I thought about my granddad, your great granddad, who was and will always be my hero in life. But I got to thinking, I was like, well, you know, granddad makes a lot of money being a dentist, but where is he all the time? If I wanted to find my granddad, I knew where to go. I went to his office because he was there literally all the time. And so it really, for me, John, it started to paint a different picture of what real success was. And I started focusing on, hey, what's this thing called system driven income? Can I actually go create that? And then fast forward a few years, once I got into the life insurance industry, for me, it was perfect. The life insurance companies created the products. Companies like Equus Financial created the lead systems, but it allowed people like me, just ordinary people with a dream. It allowed me to combine products along with lead systems, and I could go out and I could hire as many people as I wanted to hire. Nobody ever told me, hey, John, you're only going to be able to hire but so many people. They didn't do that. And so my whole thought process was, if a 54-year-old milkshake machine salesman could go, and do what Ray Kroc did with McDonald's, to be sure, I can go out and I could create a good, solid mid six-figure income that was more system driven than it was self driven. And so for me, John, it was the freedom, man. It was the time and the money. It was the ability to go play golf when I wanted to go play golf. It was the ability to wake up in the mornings when I wanted to wake up. It was just the ability of not being owned by a stupid dollar bill. So that's a little bit about me, and really what the important things that shaped my life.
I love what you said about time and money, because when you talk about your granddad, my great granddad, being at the dentist office all the time, I always love how you talk about how he had two beautiful beach cottages in eastern North Carolina at a beach I grew up going to. And I love how you always talk about how you guys were always there, especially during the summertime. But when did you ever get to see him?
He would maybe late on a Friday night, and he'd always have to leave early on Sunday. I mean, it was, but I never really understood those things until I was listening to that guy, because I just thought that's how life was. I joke around, and it's a joke, but I used to tell people I thought the beaches closed on Sundays. Why was there so much traffic going home if they were open on Mondays, right? The beaches must close on Sundays, but I just thought that was the way things. I didn't think there was any. I didn't think about there's anything else in life other than that.
Right, and you know what? I feel like I've had the entrepreneurial spirit as well. I think that was God given, although that you had a hand on it as well in life. Hearing that in school about go out and get it's instilled at you in a young age. That's all a lot of people hear. And I feel like once you break through, you hear something different. A lot of people try to grab you back in. It's like, oh, don't do that. That's not safe. This is safe. Your high school self, if he could see you now, would he think this is where you were in life?
No, there's nothing about myself in high school. There's nothing about any of my friends or teachers or coaches. There's nobody who could have called this.
I love that.
I joke around and tell people I not to offend any of these people, but they may have predicted maybe I was going to be the guy at the fair guessing the height and weight or something. I mean, I wasn't expected to go out and do much.
Just goes to show you, doesn't matter what path you have in life. Anyone, if you have the heart and desire to do it, anyone can go out and be successful, and I love that. JK has
desire is a really good thing.
Yes, it is. It's a great thing to have desire and faith and purpose and what you believe in as well. JK, you talk about your mom, my grandmother, we call her Nana, always telling you to find something that you love. You found it's a sport you did not play growing up. I don't know how you found it, but talk about when you were, and when I drive past it all the time, I'm so thankful for the A-frame down at Pine Hollow Country Club being like the place that made you who you were today. I feel like that's definitely one of the foundations of that house every time I see it. So kind of talk about where you were and the person that invited you to that meeting you were referencing, and what kind of attracted you to the model. Because if I'm not correct in this, you had several people try to recruit you into the insurance business while you were there, and you're like, I'll never do that. So kind of how did you go back on what you said, and now here you are several years later?
So it's interesting. I was prospected, for life insurance, it seemed like on a weekly basis. And listen, I remember those guys today, and they were good guys, and they would come out on like some Wednesday afternoons and play golf, and you know um, but they would always try to get me to and I don't know if they were like with New York Life. I mean, they were captive type life insurance agents, right? And but I had no interest to go sell life insurance. So what changed my life was when somebody showed me the opportunity from a building standpoint. Like when somebody showed me the opportunity to get into the life insurance industry and to go actually build a company, build distribution channels, and create massive amounts of passive income, buddy, I'm down for that. Like tell me more. You had me at hello. Like it was like that energized me. But the thought of going out and selling life insurance, I didn't want to do that. I wasn't interested in that at all. So did I eventually go out and sell a lot of life insurance? Yeah, for a few years I did, and actually, surprisingly, maybe the love of my life was selling. I love selling life insurance, but what energized me and what captured all of my attention was building a business and producing a certain amount, a certain type of income that would allow me to wake up and literally have 6 Saturdays and a Sunday every week.
I love that. Do you think it was the perception of them selling life insurance, thinking of the guy stopping you at church or the guy at the party asking you about your life insurance? Do you think if they would have came from it at that angle, it might have would have been a little bit different? Because it's all about perspective, and how it's brought across to you. Something that's going to intrigue you, and it turned out something that you actually love doing.
Yeah. I don't know. I just my love for selling life insurance, I kind of backed into it. I had to go out and sell life insurance because it got to a point in my career where either I was going to go do that or I needed to figure something else out. Because I had to make the decision to go get my family on safe ground. And the fastest way of doing that, especially when growing my agency at the time was not working, I had to go sell life insurance. Now, little did I know, I was really being led into that because actually me going out and selling life insurance and setting the example, it set our whole agency on fire, and our agency grew. Literally what felt like overnight, our agency grew from seemed like struggle to doing over 38 million in 1 year. So it was like so little did I know, me going out and selling life insurance, created that spark. It was, so God was God was like the whole time going, hey man, if you just go and do what I'm leading you to. But he had to get me in that position where I really didn't have any other choice. I had to go sell life insurance. Might as well do that versus going and doing something else. But again, it became one of my great loves in life. I loved, at that time everything was face to face. I love sitting kneecap to kneecap with people and really helping families prepare for their worst day.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And we're going to have you back on. And I think our next topic is going to be setting yourself on fire and leading from the front at what we call 212. So I love what you said about there of, setting yourself on fire and leading from the front. You put your head down and you go to work, and it's amazing how many people decide to be like, man, what's he doing? And my favorite story is, your good close friend Barry Clarkson talking about it when he finally found the mortgage protection lead business so many years ago. Is like, hey, he was paying off stuff, and he's like, I'm out of the recruiting business, and someone kept bugging me. He's like, hey, what do you got going on? He goes, man, I got nothing going on. I'm like, I got something good. I'm not having it ruined.
That's right.
So
Yeah,
I love
I,
what.
I love when Barry tells that story.
Yes, we definitely got to have him on with us. Maybe we can do it coming up here in March. So being having God on your hand, leading you into the to the life insurance sales. I think I remember it vividly. So let's talk about the uh, Cornerstone has always been there from probably from when I was born, but it really came in fruition on a road trip probably in August of 2016. You probably know what I was referring to, going to dropping me off for school my freshman year of college. So really kind of talk about how Cornerstone came for fruition. If you want to talk about that day and going from where you were to now, and just kind of like the culture of the Cornerstone Group.
Yeah, we had we were mostly in the final expense industry. We had big contracts, and I laugh nowadays when I see people chasing big contracts, um, like it means anything. Big contracts with little production doesn't mean anything at all. We had big contracts, and so we were out selling final expense, but with those big contracts we didn't have anybody providing anything for us. We didn't have a company providing leads for us. We were having to invest our own money that we didn't have to go out and create leads and really everything else. And so it kind of hit a boiling point, June of 2016, and I just remember calling Barry and just saying, hey, I got to do something different. This what we're doing is not working. I knew if I wanted to go join Barry, I knew I'd have to go backwards in contract level. But it got to the point where I was willing to do anything, and I knew they had a great lead system. I trusted Barry. I didn't know much else about what they were doing, and but I called Barry, and Barry said, "Hey, we're having our first conference in Indianapolis in July," which was just a few weeks later. And man, Barry extended an invitation, said, "Hey, man, get there, come find me," and that's what happened. And I sat in the back of the room and I watched this thing called Equus. I watched top producers up there with mortgage protection, and man, I was so excited, just really, from a production standpoint, to see like, what I was doing in final expense was nothing compared to what they were doing in mortgage protection. And so, and then that very same weekend, Barry announced his bonus plan, and I couldn't sleep, man. I was like, this is the greatest thing. So we joined Equus at that point in time. Matter of fact, I went out my first week in the field after we got all the contracts in place. I think it was like the first or second week of August 2016. And from August 2016 through December 31st, I remember mostly on my own pen going out and learning mortgage protection and making almost 100,000. I made a little over 90,000 just in that time span selling mortgage protection life insurance. Then 2017 was a great year. Our agency started growing, from my example. Amazing how that happened. And it was almost like you just mentioned Barry's story about, hiring that guy by telling him, "Hey, I'm not doing anything, man." And finally Barry hired him, but he told me, "Hey, if you ever call me, I'm firing you. Like, don't call me." It's almost like I started having so much success in selling life insurance that I didn't build very much. But it's amazing how the attraction factor, and people started calling me. People started really recruiting themselves into what we were doing. It's a phenomenon. It's crazy. I spent years recruiting people. I spent years throwing the kitchen sink at people. I spent years telling people how great they've been. I spent years trying to build my company and it just seemed like it was just no traction at all. And then all of those years, now, yeah, you can say, man, look at all those seeds you say. Okay, I get that, but it's amazing the catalyst for the growth, it seemed like, was God getting me to the point where I had to go sell life insurance. And then, goodness gracious, I go out and start selling, 5 applications a week, and all of a sudden everybody wants to join. It was a funny thing, but it was a very real thing, and I'll never forget that.
I love the time frame, because I think it's safe to say you knew final expense and mortgage protection. I love how our good friend Bill Martin OG says it. You both have a death benefit. Yes, that is true, but talking to someone, learning the products is definitely can be night and day difference. And so you were learning a system completely different and started, let's just go ahead and say ground level. And in that, what is that, 4 months, you know, exceeded, almost earned, a 6-figure income in that time frame. And I think you went out and probably doubled it when you had a full year in 2027. So, no, not 2027. Sorry, 2017.
Yeah, it was a little more. It was, I think my income in 2017 total was I think on my own pen it was about 220,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think with a little bit of overrides off of the little bitty team that we had, I think maybe my total income in 2017 was like 255,000. But here's the thing. Here's the phenomenon. Okay. 2018, I went out and I sold about the same amount of business. Okay. And I made about the same amount on my own pen, which was about 220,000. But here's the phenomenon. My income went up from 250,000 to over 340,000. So what does that tell you? Well, my income went up, but I didn't make any more self-driven income.
Mm-hmm.
So where did the income come from? It came from overrides. It came from bonuses from Equus. It came from the system. So I started creating my dream. I started creating that system-driven income. And then 2000, let's see, was it 17, 18? So 2019, our income went up over 400,000. But here's the phenomenon there. Our income went up almost 100,000. It was, I think it ended up being like 430, 440,000 income. But I sold half of what I had the year previously. I remember I had big goals in personal sales. And I remember, I think it was Rob Jones I was talking to, but I was like, Rob, I'm going to hit Diamond Producer. And but man, my agency was growing so fast that I spent literally all of my time just on the phone helping people that were in the home with clients. And so my personal sales went way down, but our income went way up. And then our income, like 440,000 to over 600,000. We were living our dream. And then it was about that time we started hearing, Barry introduced us to a word called Integrity Marketing Group. So what a wild ride it was.
It definitely sounds like that, and it's amazing if you work hard in a short amount of time. If you just dedicated that time, put your head down, the longer it is because you keep looking up, trying to look at the clock. If you just keep your head down, it goes by so quickly, and it's amazing when you finally do take that breath of fresh air and pick your head up where you were. And that was August of 2016 to 2019 when your production went down as well. So let's talk about the integrity effect.
Let me make this point. When you get focused, when you have your season of focus, then that all it takes is a season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whatever that 2, 3, 4, 5 years. When you get that season of your life, There is no time. There is no time. There is no day. Other than Sunday, there is no day. There is nothing other than your next appointment, your next interview. There's not, the clock runs. I just know for that season for me, JK2, man, it was like, man, it was every day was pushing our business forward every day. We literally, the success principle that I'm referring to is delayed gratification. We literally put everything in life on the back burner, everything except our business. And if there's one area I see a lot of people that it holds a lot of people back from what I really feel like otherwise would be an explosion in their business, is most people aren't willing to delay their gratification. So, but take that for whatever it's worth.
Mic drop right there. So our last talking point, we're getting now to 2021. Production has gone down, selling has gone down, but income continues to increase from not very much of overrides to over 600,000 in a 4-year span. Now we're looking at 2021. Barry introduced probably late 2020 going into 2021, that word, and we'll call it the integrity effect.
Yeah.
In comes Brian Adams, and a name that's probably a little bit sour in Cowboy fans' mouths is Steve Young, but we love Steve and what he's done in integrity. So they come knocking on yours and mom's door, and so let's talk about the integrity effect and how that has made a difference on your guys' life, but not your life, because now it's your grandkids, your great grandkids' lives, and how it's had a positive effect on the Cornerstone Group.
Yeah, it's amazing when you look at integrity, when you look at how big they are, and you look at their platforms in life insurance and health insurance, the wealth, the wealth division. If it's mind-boggling, and it was mind-boggling to me that that they would even want to have a conversation with a John and Kim Kight. Like, who were we? Like, yeah, man, we had built a little bitty team, and in the grand scheme of things, compared to people like Equus and these companies, I mean, but it was, but I remember Barry calling us up, and may have been like July of 2020, and saying, hey, there's a phone call being lined up right now. You and Kim are going to get on the phone with this gentleman. His name was Eric, and he was handling a lot of the new acquisitions. And I just remember me and Kim. I mean, it was literally like 2 or 3 days even before that phone call, we couldn't breathe. And we're like, I mean, like, who are we? What would he? What's he going to talk to us about? And so I just remember getting on the phone, and just that initial phone call, and just how appreciative and how much they respected us for what we had gone out and done in this industry. And him just sharing that, how integrity had been built and how it was going to continue to be built. It just really excited me that I could be a part of that. And so, it was, a few months later, it seemed like, I don't know, 6 to 8 months later, we everything was closed. We became managing partners of integrity. And, it's been a dream. That's been a dream position of mine, to be able to still run the Cornerstone Group, but to be a part of, when you look at the managing partners, like, I see some of those people, and I mean, they're heroes of mine, and the companies that they've built. And for me to even say partnership with those guys seems a little like, I don't know, like, I'm careful when I say that, but to be partners with some of those guys, it's more than a dream come true. We're so honored to be a part of integrity. And I'm just going to tell you where integrity's going. And I was on the phone with a couple of agents recently, and what you're going to see in the next 6 to 8 months. I'm not talking about six to eight next. What you're going to see in the next 6 to 8 months to a year, Integrity Marketing Group is going to blow people's minds.
It's going to be a heck of a ride. Now let's talk about this. A lot of insurance companies, a lot of insurance carriers, when we're having the conversations, talk about the captive versus non-captive. Let's put a twist on it. Let's talk about it from an integrity versus a non-integrity event, and how having them in your corner is better than not having them in your corner.
You'll have to ask me that. I want to understand the question. Ask me that in a little different way.
So, looking at some of these insurance producers, out in the world that does not have integrity,
Okay.
versus the agents that do have integrity. Talk about the night and day difference and why having an integrity is that competitive advantage.
Well, when you just look at numbers and you look at how much bigger Integrity Marketing Group has grown to be over anybody else in the industry, and you look at you understand buying power, you understand contract levels, you understand creating proprietary products, you understand the value of being able to plug into a lead system being run. You look at the advantages. I mean, it's like right now, JK2. I mean, you see these integrity benefits. Like, just because I'm a part of integrity, I can go get X percentage off of anything I buy at Staples.
Mm-hmm.
If I rent a car through Enterprise Rent, I get it. It's like how big is it going to get? Like, how many, like when you look at the buying power aspect of it, just being a part of Integrity Marketing Group, what advantages is it going to give you in all areas of your life? Not just insurance, but all areas of your life. But how cool is it in the insurance world that you being a part of Integrity at your fingertips is the greatest life companies there are. At your fingertips, the greatest Medicare and health companies there is in the industry. At your fingertips, the best wealth creation companies apart. So you just look at being inside of Integrity Marketing Group and what it gives you access to from a platform basis. It's not even fair. There is no second place.
For sure. And I think it starts with the basic compliant leads. I mean, that's phenomenal to have. I was watching a video the other day. It's like, why are people still cold calling? Why are people still cold door knocking and trying to meet people that way? When you have something in compliant leads, and the amount of, I feel like every time I get on Lead Center, JK, they're rolling out a new lead for me to be able to buy. And it doesn't matter what the price is, because they got prices at all different levels. They want you to be able to go out and succeed. And that's a great thing to have than someone dropping a phone book on my desk and be like, hey, there's your lead book. Go at it. Talking about today, we had a breakout room today. Let's talk about the CRM that it has, a free CRM. I'm scrolling through on social media and like, hey, if you're an insurance agent, you got to look at this CRM. It's phenomenal. Yeah. Integrity gives us a free one. It's insane. They give us a free website. I'm probably missing so many things, JK, and trying to cover it all. And I feel bad if I'm going to miss something, but just those few things, and it's free because we have that partnership with them. JK, I don't even know if you can put a number on how much they could charge each month for that. I know it would not be a cheap fee.
No, but that's just it. It's competitive advantages, and watch how those competitive advantages keep continuing to grow to the point where if you're in the life insurance industry and you're not part of Integrity, it's not a if, it's when you at some point in time you're just not going to want to give up those advantages. Because again, when I said there's no second place, JK2, they can't even take everybody outside of integrity. They can't even put together a company that would be second place. Okay, and integrity is way too far ahead of everybody for that. So, what's going to be created? It's going to revolutionize. It already has, but it's going to continue to revolutionize the whole industry.
You're exactly correct, and I know we have the Olympics coming up, and we had that picture of the country's flag going up, and you got the podium, and you got the gold medal, and you got the bronze and the silver. Those guys aren't even on the podium with integrity. It's one flag. It's the integrity flag, and they're holding the gold medal. And no one's in the building on the podium. They might have the platforms there, but no one's even close to there.
There's no doubt about it. It is when you look at the business owners that have built massive amounts of distribution, and they've all chose to join one team. It's called integrity. They chose to join one team. And I will tell you that is a pretty impressive room of distribution builders.
It is for sure, especially going to the Integrity building in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And I love how people get starstruck when they see celebrities. I get starstruck when I see that pixel board of all the Integrity partners on there. It's like, man, I scroll through social media and I see them. Like those are my heroes. And it's amazing to see. And you're exactly right, to come together because they see how important being a part of this team really is.
Yeah.
So, JK, thank you for your time. As we wrap up, what is the best way if someone wants to get mentored by you? They love the integrity effect. They love what you did in personal sales, or they just relate to you in your background. What's the best way for someone to get a hold of you to come be a part of the Cornerstone Group and where we're going with integrity?
Well, the best way is just to call or text me. My cell number, it's not hard to find. It's 919-961-2075. I think I'm on most social medias. People can private message me on social media. And so, matter of fact, I did an interview today where, somebody found me on LinkedIn. And so, call me, text me. Really at the stage I am right now, JK2, I really do enjoy mentoring people. I'm not going to create desire in people. I'm out of that business. But I am in the business of helping people who have tremendous amounts of desire. I'm in the business of teaching them how to build a structure that will produce other leaders. And that's how to build massive distribution.
Wonderful. And what we'll do as well, we'll put the Cornerstone website down below. There's a place on there that you can see to be able to schedule an interview as well. We'll tag your social media as well, but you heard it here. The best way to get a hold of them is by that phone number. Call, text them, and leave them a voicemail. JK, thank you again, man. Again, the owner of the Cornerstone Group. I think this has been a phenomenal one. I can't wait to see where this goes and the amount of guests that we have coming on. I not to share too much. I think if I can pull it off, I'm really excited about the second one coming. That's going to be phenomenal. But hey, I'm circling back around to you. We're getting you back on the calendar to continue doing this more. Maybe we'll get into some sales training, building, but really talking about setting yourself on fire for really just that short amount of time and where you can certainly be. Thank you again for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.